It is your prisonplanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a radio transmission you don't want to miss. I mean, they're all important, but this one's going to be really, really jam-packed. The news is all off the charts important. We've got Michael Savage is scheduled to be joining us in the third hour, part of his maiden voyage here with us. That is coming up today. I was on Howard Stern for an hour and a half this morning. They were going to have me on for like 30 minutes, and I was on for an hour and a half. And, you know, growing up off and on, listening to Howard Stern, being on stations, broadcasting on stations that carried Howard Stern, it's just weird to be sitting there talking to Howard Stern for an hour and a half. And Robin Quivers, you know, really was waking up to the New World Order. And to a certain extent, Howard Stern was as well. And I was able to talk to his sizable audience, the biggest on XM and Sirius, undoubtedly, you know, the king of that format. And, you know, able to talk to him about some really, really important issues like fluoride in the water and what it's doing to people, and to quote Harvard studies to them, and to tell them about silicone in the chicken McNuggets, and to warn them about flu vaccines being dangerous. I mean, these are real public services. And they said, you know, what news sources do you trust? Who's a good reporter? And you know, I said, it's not even so much about news services, but it's about a reporter. It's about reporters. And I was able to, you know, plug drudgereport.com and things like that. So it all went pretty well. I was unable to get it out about Seymour Hersh because it was, you know, banter back and forth there on air, but it'll definitely be a popular interview. And so bottom line, the broadcast is reaching more and more people. And that's my goal. Go in there to people living in the Matrix, living in entertainment land, and one of the smarter, dirty shows. I mean, now Howard Stern is nothing compared to the other stuff I hear on talk radio and, you know, the shock jock morning shows and the other stuff on XM and Sirius. I mean, you know, the big end thing is to make fun of handicapped people and make fun of mentally retarded children and do really some horrible stuff. And you don't really hear that from what I've heard on Howard Stern. And I was trying to wake him up about the New World Order and the banking cartels and how the future doesn't need us, according to the elites, the whole robot takeover. Because my job is to get in there and to try to inform their audience. With CNN, there really isn't much of an audience. I mean, the top people that actually watch and believe CNN have the IQ of drying paint. And so, you know, I just wanted to put Piers Morgan in his place. And Piers Morgan normally doesn't have a big audience, but because of that event, it did cause chain reactions out there and was basically aired on every news program and every comedy show out there, from Jay Leno to The Daily Show on Comedy Central. Okay, enough about that, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, where to start? We've got big economic news, how that affects the dollar from what's happening in Europe, more mergers of the North American Union with the European Union. That's being picked up in the news. Court won't allow challenge to surveillance law. U.S. State Department-funded BBC World Service is being jammed. Obama is exempt from the sequestration. GOP lawmaker, Obama using fake Twitter messages. Well, of course they are. That's out of the Hill. Americans approve of sequestration to cut TSA. That's one of the most unpopular agencies out there. And that is just some of what is going to be coming up here on the broadcast today. And then we have some big Second Amendment news all over the country. This latest one is out of Alabama, out of WAAY television. Proposed Guntherville's ordinance sparks controversy. And it says that if there's any type of emergency, a storm, a tornado, whatever, that part of an emergency is taking your guns. So if there's an economic emergency, they take your guns. I thought you needed your guns more during an emergency, but that's the FEMA Katrina model of where, oh, you're flooded out, or, oh, you're in a high and dry area, you need guns to protect yourself from looters? No, we're going to just come take your guns and loot your house and let the looters run wild. That's coming up and how it ties into Paul Watson's latest article. Yes, Hitler and Stalin did take the guns. It's reality, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to break it all down. Straight ahead, Michael Savage. And that is Ministry leading us in on target for more than 2.5 decades. We need to get Al back on the broadcast. Another one of our great listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, the 26th day of February, 2013. The one, the only, Michael Savage. And guys, I have a copy of his book, but it's in Weldon's office. And we just keep forgetting, or I'll go get it during the break, but I really need that. Michael Savage will be joining us coming up today in the third hour to talk about his new book that tries to get into the China takeover threat, the globalists basically selling us out to the communist Chinese and using the Chinese people as the slaves to build the New World Order. And we'll get into why he's against the flu vaccine, where he thinks the New World Order is going, how do you stop Obama and the globalists, the collectivists, and their Marxist minions, their useful idiots. All that with Michael Savage, who's scheduled, I say that jokingly because he's banned from the UK under thought crimes. He's scheduled to join us coming up in the third hour today. So start your engines on that front. Mark your calendars. It is today. I've got all this incredible news we're going to get to here in just a moment. I was on the Howard Stern show for an hour and a half this morning. I was supposed to be on for 30 minutes. And, again, I'm going out there trying to wake up people's audiences. So I went on. I was friendly. And I just reached out to Howard and Robin and his crew and started waking them up, Robin especially. She's like, well, wait a minute. I do know about that. And I do know about this. And I would just say wilder and wilder things and then have them Google it and find out that it was true. And I was just blowing them away. Silicone and chicken McNuggets, suicidal shrimp and fish on Prozac, aspartame causing diabetes, and then, you know, throwing CBS News in their face. The bisphenol A to hypersexualize and feminize women and feminize men. It was good overall. It was good, and I played along with them, and so was able to reach out to people because that's my job. That's what I'm here to do, and we're certainly having more and more breakthroughs by the grace of God. I'm very, very thankful. You know, they played the clip of me crying, talking about the globalists hurting children, and they said, "Is that an act or is that real?" You can listen to it until it's real. This stuff gets to me, and I try to have a armor of being focused and being manly and being aggressive and also bravado, kind of a arrogance sometimes, a sick, I turn stuff into a sick joke, and I don't come out with this dark satire and humor because I like it at a core level. It's just, it's a defense mechanism. It's a defense mechanism that I have at a subconscious level because this stuff gets to me. And that's why it resonates with people. You get it too. Yeah, here's his new book, A Time for War, Michael Savage. He says he's never seen such censorship of a book. This is a guy who's had a bunch of #1 New York Times bestsellers. He's never seen such censorship and such an attempt to block it. So we're going to be talking about that coming up with Michael Savage. Okay, that said, ladies and gentlemen, where to begin? Let's punch up drudgereport.com for TV viewers. If you're a radio listener, I will break it down for you. All tax, no cut. Will he cave in again? And that is John Boehner. Well, of course he'll cave in again, or cave in partially, because he's funded by the offshore mega banks that worldwide have the same policies from Germany to Japan to Australia to Costa Rica. I mean, what they want is what they get until we wake up to them. And you can see Bernanke's regional boss right down below him. Bernanke defends indefinite pumping selectively to themselves. And that's why it's creating such incredible inflation in luxury items, because only the ultra-rich who are the recipients of this can buy things for the rest of people. There's even some deflation in what you're being paid, but overall inflation, but not the hyperinflation we're seeing in some areas. Fed faces explaining billion-dollar losses in QE exit stress. And I saw a Bloomberg article saying it's 80-something billion a year given to banks. And All they're doing there is focusing on one small little level to talk about $80+ billion a year. If you expand on it, the MSCI sees the market value of Fed holdings shrinking by $547 billion over 3 years under an adverse scenario that includes an economic contraction and rising inflation. And then it goes on to break down $216 billion. And folks, there's different ways to look at this, but overall, last time they put numbers out a few years ago, it was over 40-something trillion dollars that American taxpayers gave to the private Federal Reserve and its 6 owning banks. And you're like, well, where does the money go? It goes nowhere. They've already written off the derivatives, most of them. They are just destroying the money to siphon it out of the economy to make you a debt slave. Because it's all zeros and ones anyways. And I know I talk about that ad nauseum. It's because it's the key to everything. And it's hidden like the elephant in the room or the little man behind the curtain. You pull it back, it's a little elephant, little demonic elephant behind the curtain. And it makes me sick to see this going on, to see this happening. And Obama and the Congress, they don't see pay cuts under sequestration. In fact, here it is, Obama's paycheck exempted from sequestration, CNS News. President Obama won't have to worry about his paycheck in the spending sequestration, including the Budget Control Act that he signed into law in 2011, because he's exempt from it. Well, they're exempt from everything else. They're exempt from insider trading. They're exempt from their own taxes. They're exempt from regulations. They're trying to exempt themselves with bills from gun laws. I mean, that's the essence of tyranny, is not just when they oppress you, but then they exempt themselves from that as well. By the way, there's another article I'm going to be getting into. Scientists claim 72 is the new 30. And they're talking about life extension technologies and the way people act and things. It's a complex issue, but they tried to arrest mental development at about the age of a 12-year-old on average, right as you're becoming a man or a woman. But also, worldwide population longevity is going down because of all the poisons in the food and water. And then they just have these binary treatments that only keep you alive a little while. You know, you would have died when you were 50, but they keep you alive uncomfortably to 74 or whatever, when our longevity should be going up and up and up. So I heard everybody on talk radio this morning talking about, we're living longer. 72 is the new 30. Bull. People are now getting Alzheimer's in their 30s. People are going into puberty when they're 3 years old, having babies when they're 6, 7, 8, 9 because of all the chemicals. I mean, I was on Howard Stern this morning, and I was explaining to him the amphibians, the fish, the crustaceans, the shrimp. They're going into puberty early. They're deformed. They're bisexual. And then it's, gay fish. Listen, folks, when you go into puberty when you're 9, I went to puberty when I was 11. Back then, that was early. People are going to puberty now, boys when they're like 9, girls when they're 9. Some as young as 3 are starting to menstruate. Okay, girls are supposed to go into puberty when they're like 14. That's the old global number back when the British studied it worldwide in the 1800s. You're talking about 14 for girls, 13 for boys on average. Now, girls, it's down to 11 on average. Boys, it's just bizarre, ladies and gentlemen. Boys, actually, in some cases, are going into puberty later because of all the estrogen mimickers, or they're having more of a female puberty. You know, they're growing breast and things when they're 7. And, they made jokes about gay shrimp and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but this is real, folks. This is hitting you and hitting your family. And then Howard Stern's like, well, there are too many people. And I'm like, yeah, Howard, but everyone's being targeted by this. So who are you going to select to kill? And he goes, well, I just don't want more people. Leave everybody alive, alone. But that's not where this is going. And the West is dying. The West, on average, has about 1.5, 1.3, depending on the country. Some 1.2. What, Italy? Italy, a few years ago, was actually down to 1.1. Some cities have a 0.9. That's for 2 adults, a woman and a man in the population. They have less than 1 child. And then fools send me emails going, how can you have 0.9 children? It's an average, folks. So all of that went on. And we're going to be going over that. But I want to cover this first when we get back because I mentioned it yesterday, but I didn't cover it properly, and I didn't play the clip. Robert Gibbs, the former press secretary, saying, I was told to say the drone program didn't exist, and he said it was like the Wizard of Oz, the little man behind the curtain, because it was a public program. Yeah, I mean, I've seen press secretaries under Bush as well get up and say, there is no inflation when there's inflation on record. And then they ask, why do I lie when it's blatantly obvious it's a lie? It's to acclimate everyone to lies, not to even accept them, just to where, well, this is what we do. It's the analogy of like animals all around an apple orchard. And some deer run and eat some apples, and the guards run to protect that. The farmer does, the person managing the orchard. And then some squirrels run in and eat it, and then some pigs run in and eat some, and then a bear comes in and eats some, and then a badger comes in and starts, eating some, and you can't stop them all from just rushing in. And that's the psychological thing at play here. To where I'm on the radio going, hey, they're putting cancer viruses in your vaccine. Here's the name of it, SV40. They're killing you, and it's, ha, 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 gay fish. And I'm like, hey, this is affecting you and your family. I mean, and I understand people just are in this giggling mode where they can't get out of it. It's mind control. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live here, ladies and gentlemen. And let's get into this article because it's a window into everything we're talking about. We have several articles dealing with this up at Infowars.com. Yes, Hitler and Stalin did take the guns. A fake meme was put out by a whole bunch of so-called liberal authoritarian websites that we have a link to, saying that Hitler didn't take any guns and that authoritarian Stalin doesn't take guns either. When you type in Hitler and gun control, that's all the top links. Bizarrely enough, along with some Nazi sites saying Hitler was pro-gun and didn't take anybody's guns. So we have links to that, debunking the meme that historical gun grabs are carried out by dictatorships. Again, debunking the meme that historical gun grabs by dictatorships is a myth. And then the other big gun news here, city wants power to disarm individuals during crisis, any type of emergency, like a hurricane or tornado, a storm, just like we saw in Katrina. That's up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Now, going over this clip, former Obama press secretary was ordered to act as if drone program did not exist. The first rule of the drone program is that you do not talk about the drone program. And Steve Watson wrote an article about this. It was also picked up by some other publications. But the point is that it's not like he was told don't admit some secret torture program, which we know Obama's continuing and has been caught doing, and then putting out Zero Dark 30 movies about how the White House was involved in that, about how he blocked the torture program, another lie. And the idea that the torture program, actually saved America, more lies. The name of the film should be Zero Dark Easter Bunny. But the larger issue here is that Gibbs is up there saying it's like the Wizard of Oz, the little guy behind the curtain, because the drone program is all over the foreign news. It's admitted to be going on, and that Gibbs was told to just say it doesn't exist if people brought it up to him. And so he's now on MSNBC and on CNN doing interviews. He goes on all of them, saying basically the same thing now. Oh, yeah, I knew it was silly, but that's just part of what we do. Just like when he got everybody on board the aircraft at Dulles, outside D.C. in Virginia, I was there. I was covering it just miles away at Bilderberg in 2008. And the jet takes off. They close the door. And the media, because there's footage of this, the raw footage was put out on the news. They're like, where's Obama? We were told he's going to Chicago on this plane. We went, sorry, a decision was made with some people, because that's when they decided Hillary was going to step down. Obama was going to get the presidency. It's why Gibbs was so excited. And Gibbs is having this euphoric rushing and hardly talking. He goes, there's some meetings that people want to have in private. This is an Obama deception. And so the decision was made, sorry, yeah, we shanghaied you. You're going to Chicago without the president. And then the media ran around going, where's the president? And even when I told them they were not allowed to come show where he was at with Hillary, with the Secret Service and the Marines, pointing MP5 submachine guns at us. So it just shows the control. There is no Bilderberg. There is no drone program. There is no aspartame. Aspartame doesn't give you diabetes and cancer, even though they admit it does. And yeah, there's cancer viruses in most vaccines, but so what? Dying's fun. Because we care about the children. You know, Sandy Hook, we're very upset. Ban all the guns for the 20 kids. You know, we really care, even though we say there's too many people. Let's kill everybody. So here he is now, just like Karl Rove told the New York Times 6 years ago, we control reality now. And if they told us the Statue of Liberty didn't exist, it'd be true. If they said that the Golden Gate Bridge didn't exist, it'd be true. Because they control reality, because we believe what they say. They've got the general public in a trance, to the point of Gibbs now going on TV making jokes about lying to people. And see, this is sophisticated. People are like, oh, he's Mia coping. No, he's not. It's all part of a flaunting it in your face, okay? It's all part of flaunting it in your face. Here's that clip.
When I went through the process of becoming press secretary, one of the first things they told me was, you're not even to acknowledge the drone program. You're not even to discuss that it exists. Wow. And so I would get a question like that, and literally I couldn't tell you what Major asked, because once I figured out it was about the drone program, I realized I'm not supposed to talk about it. But here's what's inherently crazy about that proposition. You're being asked a question based on reporting of a program that exists. Right. So you're the official government spokesperson acting as if the entire program, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
We're going to be right back after this quick break. Stay with us. We will expose the man behind the curtain. Monday through Friday, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. We're here. Don't forget, weeknights, 7 o'clock Central. I'm going to get back into the news. And yes, my son is going to be in studio in about an hour. He's here at work with me today. And I want to get him in studio because he came up with some pretty funny jokes this morning. He was listening to the rebroadcast of the radio show this morning here at the office while I was getting ready. And he saw the Obama Bites piece, because the rebroadcast is also on TV monitors in there in the green room, because we restreamed the video. And he saw Mike Adams here in studio talking about Obama Bites, the little joke thing that he came up with the different things, the ingredients. It's made in China, and it's got squeezium and you know, the government robbing you. It's got Obamunism, turning you into a communist, Caesarism, where they seize everything you've got, the Feinsteinium that turns demonic gargoyles into U.S. senators. Well, my son, who I'm still not going to show, but he can talk on the radio, he'll just go by Little Alex. His name's not Alex, but we're still protecting his identity for another season, probably. He's going to be in there. He came up with a whole list, 19 different ones. But he added a part that, luckily, it has no freedom, lithium, happinism, destinism, I guess your destiny, and it's and not made in America. And he came up with hopianism, fake hope that leads you to communism, tyrannyism. He can pronounce all this better than I can. I've had like 3 hours sleep, folks. I got up at 4 a.m. for the Howard Stern show this morning. Radium, sheep. Some of these I understand. Others I'm going to find out what he's talking about. Sheepyism or sheepism. You know what that is. So there's 19 of these, and so he'll pop in for part of a segment with us at the bottom of the next hour for a little while ahead of Michael Savage scheduled to join us. And by the way, we are going to do an in-depth hour-long interview with Ted Nugent on Thursday. Ted Nugent will be joining us at noon with breaking news and some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, how he's been persecuted by the feds and others in his TV show. That is all going to be breaking, and where he thinks the NRA should be taken to the next level of offense. All that is coming up on Thursday with Ted Nugent. He called into the show. We talked about a lot of things on Sunday, and we got in touch with him yesterday. And so that is coming up. That is coming up pronto on good old Thursday. So stay with us for that. And I do have a big story we're working on, as promised, and it looks like it's going to happen, but we'll see when it happens. See, I usually stay up till about midnight, and then I get up at like 5 a.m., but I sleep like the dead. Get up at 5, 6 a.m., and then last night I went to bed about 9:30, but then didn't sleep and kept waking up because I knew I had to get up early. And then I woke up at I went to bed probably about midnight, finally went to sleep after laying in bed for like 2-3 hours. You know how that doesn't usually happen to me unless I've got to get up really early. And then, I don't know why I'm telling this, just I'm having real trouble thinking today. I'm out of gas, ladies and gentlemen. I don't feel bad. I'm just out of gas. And to make a long story short, I'm sure I'll wake up when Savage gets on with us. Then I woke up at 3 a.m., and I laid there till 3:30 a.m., and I was at IHOP this morning at 4 a.m. when it opened. Jumped up, took a shower, jumped in the car, drove to IHOP. They're usually 24-hour, but their power was off yesterday from the windstorm. So I walk up, they open the door, I go in and eat. I got here to the office. I took my time at 5 a.m., and so I guess it's the afternoon now for me. And the crew doing a great job in there. You're almost as good as Judge Smales. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Billy. It's Danny, sir. All right, enough of that. I need to reset, refocus. Do we have David Knight's online film festival piece? We do have that? All right, I want to cue that up. And then I'm going to drink a glass of water here and I think splash some water on my face. And all I need to do is look at a picture of Dianne Feinstein and I'll wake me up and get angry. A tyrant pig. And then after I get awoken here, we will come back because the news is all off the chart. I mean, globalists flaunting tyranny in our face, mega banks imploding things by design, fight clubs at high schools. They're discovering, I thought every high school was a fight club. Is the media just discovering that high school is a fight club? I literally, that's how I described my high school. It was fight club, man. Fight club. We had the coolest coaches and stuff. Even people had their heads split open and stuff. They wouldn't call the police on you. Anyways, but I guess we're all on estrogen now, so everything's fine. We're all going to go quietly into the New World Order night. Anyways, continuing here. With Gibbs, I was told not to acknowledge the existence of drone programs. Just amazing. A program that admittedly existed. Because the psych warfare chiefs know maybe 60% of the public doesn't know one way or the other, even if it's admitted, and then they'll just believe if Gibbs lies. It'd be like Gibbs going, there is no New York City. And the whole White House press corps goes, okay, because if you don't agree, you're never let back in. Politico. Okay, I'm awake. They just showed Feinstein. Show her again. It's like a bull in a red cape. Show me the enemy wants to enslave my family. Put her on screen again. Oh, make me so angry. Ah, yes. Adrenals give me power. Unlimited power. Turning into Emperor Palpatine, excuse me. Oh, man. Ah! All right, there. Good. Actually worked. Good. Very good. Can you put it back up on screen, please? Okay, there we go. It, you notice I said. Look at the other it's behind her. I mean, what? I didn't know they stacked sacks of vermin that high. I mean, look, I never saw a rat wearing big blue, green, turquoise beads around her neck. I mean, boy, doesn't she just look like some evil general or something? I mean, you put a Hitler mustache on that lady. Holy Toledo. Oh, my gosh. Did you think of that? If we gave her a Buzz haircut or a Hitler-style haircut and then gave her a, look at that, or Stalin? No, Stalin isn't that ugly. Look at that. Look at that enemy. He just has an instinct to dominate you and your family. Wants to squat on you like a giant squatty potty. All right. We better stop it right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's like in Dr. Strangelove, stop it. And he's like, it's like, all right. This is what goes on around here, ladies and gentlemen. No, I mean, the stress is getting to me. That's what's happening. And my defense mechanism is to start screwing around. Oh, boy. Gibbs, I was told not to acknowledge the existence of drone program when it admittedly existed. So I want to play a little clip about the big film contest that's getting a lot of excitement. I'm finding out from filmmakers around the country that a lot of serious filmmakers are involved, but also small-time people. And who knows whether it'll be big-time or small-time. Could be a small-time person wins. Infowars.com/contest. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But don't forget to support the broadcast. Everyone should be drinking purified water, the best gravity-fed filter out there with the Pro 1 filters that have the colloidal silver and the Aquamedic systems all in one filter. Nobody else has got it. Blows away the competition. Look at the side-by-side comparisons. 10% off with promo code WATER, and it supports the broadcast. You are insane in the membrane. If you do not get over to InfoWarsStore.com and get a Pro Pure today, and we also have the life straws and just everything else, the monofilin, all of it, at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. And you know we are at Mach 10 with our hair on fire here. So just keep fueling us, mid-air refueling here on air. Get PrisonPlanet.tv membership, $5.95 a month, 11 memberships for $5.95 a month. That's less than 50-something cents. Was it like 55 cents? Because 10 memberships is 59 cents. So whatever. It's like 50 cents a membership. Get it. One master membership, 11 memberships, $5.95 a month. PrisonPlanet.tv. See the video of the TV show during the radio show every day. The books, the videos, high def, everything. PrisonPlanet.tv. Get your subscriptions, expanded extras, everything. PrisonPlanet.tv. PrisonPlanet.tv. Did I mention PrisonPlanet.tv? And support our local AM and FM, support their local sponsors as well. But get a PrisonPlanet.tv membership, get a Pro Pure water filter, get the Pro Gun, come and take it, shirts, the original variants with the Second Amendment inside of them our great graphics crew came up with. The Obama Joker, a new design, that limited edition is back with a new limited edition that we're only going to have in 2013. And all your purchases are war bonds in the InfoWar, so that you can know that we are absolutely out there, 110% hitting the enemy at point-blank range in a seek and destroy operation, foaming at the mouth, okay? I mean, let's just get it straight. You know, it's time for everybody to realize what side they're on and commit and come in for the big win, to quote Full Metal Jacket. What's the you know what, I get neurotic about this. What is the full quote on Full Metal Jacket? Let me see. Full Metal Jacket, come in for the big win. I love that. It sounds like how my grandpa, my dad's dad, used to talk. Here, let me see this. Full Metal Jacket. Man, this computer needs to be restarted. Now, that's not the drill sergeants when they got the mass grave they found, and the guy's wearing a peace sign as a sick joke. And he goes, what is that, some kind of sick joke? And he goes, no, sir, it's something about the duality of men. Duality of men. Yes, sir. And he goes, he threatens to court-martial him. He doesn't pay attention. Why don't you jump on the team and come in for the big win? Joker, yes, sir. Colonel, son, all I've asked of my Marines is they obey my orders as if it was the word of God. Yeah, there's the quote. Why don't you jump on the team and come in for the big win? I just love that. Why don't you just jump on the team, stop bending over to government corruption and ridiculous propaganda that treats you like you're a total moron, and come in for the big win? All you got to do is stop believing their baloney, get informed, get involved, take control of your destiny, ask God to kick you in the butt, and let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of playing games. This is a joke that we're being taken this easily. It's ridiculous. Get out of the mind control. Break your trance. Why don't you jump on the team and come in for the big win? Why don't you jump on the team and come in for the big win? Why don't you jump on the team and come in for the big win? Why don't you jump on the team and come in for the big win? Yes. Yes. Why don't you jump on the team and come in for the big win? Why don't you get with the program, America, and the rest of the world, that you're being screwed 7 ways to Sunday, and it's getting worse by the minute, and the government's arming to the teeth against us and absolutely gearing up for a physical purge. Instead of that scaring you, you should know that if you oppose them now, they will be destroyed politically. But if you bend over to these people and roll over and lie down and get on your knees, folks, it is over. All over the country, they're announcing martial law in different towns, daytime curfews for even adults, checkpoints, gang checkpoints. Now, if there's ever an emergency, everyone must turn their guns in. It's a new city law. That's up at Infowars.com. I mean, it is just, come on. And it's that instinct of the tyrants. They've already taken our banks over, taken our money over. They already run everything. They're already jacking us with poison, but they're afraid we might wake up. And so they're like, oh, let's just take all the guns and bring in total tyranny. Let's have a national compulsory service. That's all being announced. They're graduating FEMA corps now of crazy ne'er-do-wells. You look at it's all these teenagers with their arms crossed behind their backs, all overweight, like staring hatefully, like they think they're about to kick everybody's butt. I mean, if that's what the New World Order is going to use against us, it's just... But it's so crazy. It's like laughing and crying at the same time. I guess after that point, you then go into like Woody Woodpecker, where he goes, when he like bounces around, and then we should come back with Woody Woodpecker. You know what we're going to come back with? We are going to come back, ladies and gentlemen, with the David Knight quick piece, and then I'll get into the news. I promise I will comport myself and get to it all. But I do think the time has come. The time is now. Marvin K. Mooney, you must go now. I think it is time for me to take a week vacation. The only problem is I have to absolutely turn off the computer and go somewhere, which I can't do because I do need to reset. I absolutely do. Go fishing. Maybe rent a cabin somewhere. I do need to do that. You know, we all get so busy in the rat race. The system knows that. And that's why people don't even want to hear this stuff. They think it's like work I'm trying to give them. It's going to be a lot of work if we don't get government and corrupt insider mafias off our back. Listen to these headlines. Obama, window of opportunity for Iran attack open in June. Totally bizarre. Infowars.com. That's quotes by the State Department and Obama. U.S. dairy industry petitions FDA to approve aspartame as hidden, unlabeled additive in milk, yogurt, eggnog, and cream, which they admit gives you type 2 diabetes and cancer on record. Killed baby rhesus monkeys in the studies in the 70s is why they couldn't get it approved. But now it's for your children. Just god-awful evil where you don't get to know. Not just GMO, now aspartame and MSG. I hope you're ready. The sell-off today is the start, not the end. That's an article up at Infowars.com. We're going to get into really the big news here. City wants power to disarm individuals during crisis. Guntersville authorities, they're authorities, they're not servants, would confiscate guns of unruly individuals during disasters. That means people, they're like, hey, we don't like you trying to make us enforce labor brigades. And it goes on, actually, here in the article to say that just during crises, period. I mean, see, Watson's great, but it's even worse than he's saying. It's disarmed individuals during a disaster. And then it says, and anyone who's unruly. And then we've got our article, yes, Hitler and Stalin did take the guns. And then we've got the sequestration right now. We're going to be getting into that, and we're going to be getting into what's happening with the globalist. And then we're going to be getting into this little jewel. GOP lawmaker, Obama using fake Twitter messages in fight over gun control. Of course they are. It's PSYOP robots. All right, folks, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. It's not deja vu. I thought we'd play this piece twice so that we could just, think about where this society and this culture has gone. And we all need to reflect on the rampant corruption, because when you just give in to corruption, it takes over. That's why we've launched Operation Paul Revere. And there's already a huge response a month into it. You've got 2 months to make a film, whether it's 3 minutes or 2 hours long. And there's first place is $100,000. And I'm doing this because it's going to create hundreds of powerful films promoting liberty, exposing tyranny. That's the goal. And then out of that, we will find a group of people to work with to make films to put out not just on DVD or on the internet, but to also put out in theaters. Infowars.com produced films out of the group or stable of champions that come out of this. I'm pretty excited with Michael Savage coming up. And I shouldn't be a pig here. I should open the phones up for everybody, too. We'll do that in the next segment. Take some calls this hour. It really is overwhelming. Just what's happening in Europe, I could spend the whole show on. How they just put Berlusconi back in. There's a three-party deal in their Senate. Looks like he could be back in control of the country soon. We'll see how this shakes out. Total bizarro gangster. But he does make the globalists mad, and then he won't totally bankrupt Italy. So the Italians like him. And the bond markets and the globalists are freaking out. I saw a quote from Zero Hedge from the TV news where one of the bond companies was like, for the first time, a European country has voted wrong. I mean, they've installed leaders like Mario Monti in Italy and others in Greece. I mean, they tried that business in Iceland. They just stood down and passively protested for a year till the whole government fell apart. Now they've arrested the government. A whole bunch of them are arrested. And it's just at a certain point you call the bluff. But if you just go along and follow any order, well, then live under Stalin, live under Kim Jong-il or Mao Zedong for that matter. So we're going to be breaking all of that down here. You know, it just blows me away, the whole Robert Gibbs thing. I've got to say that really does take the cake. Just arrogantly saying, well, the drone program was admitted, but I was told to say it didn't exist, which was crazy because it's admitted to exist. Yeah, Gibbs, that's probably why you got kicked out. You're not evil enough to fully understand how all this works, son. They're there to subconsciously condition people to accept lies and then run away from the truth. But Obama warned spending cuts could idle shipbuilder. President Obama is arguing that looming government-wide spending cuts could idle military resources like naval aircraft carriers, while Republicans are criticizing the president for taking his arguments outside Washington instead of staying to work out a plan before Friday's deadline. And again, it's the same thing that Europe's been put in over and over again, where they maneuver you into a collapse position, get more banker bailouts, more money, trillions more for foreign banks, and then a few years later, oh my gosh, it's looming again. And then all it does is maneuver you into bankruptcy, where the banks end up with all your tax money from bailing them out, and then you've got to pay off the debts of the money you gave them. And it's so simple, it's complex. It's like, how about I come by your house and rob and kill you? And how about you pay me to do it? And you're like, yeah, let me give you all the money in my bank account to come over and torture me and rob me and kill me. You're like, that's a good idea, isn't it? Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, let foreign banks sign me onto their derivatives that's not my debt and run the country in the hole on purpose and have police in black uniforms and checkpoints and classical tyranny, and then we bail you out for tens of trillions, and then you sign us onto that debt and lecture us all day, and then exempt yourselves offshore from all the taxes. Gee, I wish we had one of them doomsday machines too, to quote Dr. Strangelove. I mean, it is just craziness, but the general public doesn't know how this stuff works. That's how the system is getting away with it. Just like they had a concerted effort after I was on Piers Morgan to have Salon and Daily Beast and all of them go, Hitler didn't take guns. He was pro-gun. Yeah. And then we linked to the Weimar Republic laws that were never implemented, that he implemented. Just like Obama's now saying that the Brady bill means even if you haven't been adjudicated mentally ill, they can take your guns. They're like, where's the law? Well, we say it says that. And the ATF does what we say. And then in the 38 Gun Control Act that Hitler did get passed. But the point is he did take the guns from the groups he was targeting, and they highly restricted the others. And anyone that denies that is a liar. And we have the proof in this article. So go get our article, push it to the top of Google results. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Well, we're less than an hour out from Michael Savage joining us with a lot of breaking news and intel, from the flu shot, why he's against it, to the China threat he believes is the #1 thing on the horizon. I happen to agree with him. That is all coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Some unbelievable news up at Infowars.com. City wants power to disarm individuals during any crisis. Guntersville, Alabama Mayor Lee Dollar is working with city officials, not servants, but masters, to pass an ordinance that would give police the power to disarm individuals. during a disaster, a chilling example of how the Second Amendment is being assaulted via the back door. ABC 31 reports. And, of course, that is an example of what happened in Katrina. The time you need your guns from looters and people, just like the Koreans protected their areas when the police stood down in south central L.A. during the riots. This has been set up where, well, it's bad to protect yourself, bad to be able to protect yourself. England has done that, where you can't fight back even if you're being physically assaulted. If they find out someone's beating you or mugging you and you fight back, the book is thrown at you. And I'm not joking. They don't even have free speech in England. Look at Michael Savage, critical of some radical Muslims, banned from England from ever going there. Pretty amazing that that's going on. By the way, I have some news on that front here in my stack of news, but let me get into more of this news. This is out of the Financial Times of London. Scientists claim 72 is the new 30. They say human longevity has improved so rapidly, with no proof, over the past century that 72 is the new 30. People are now having shorter lifespans. And if you calculate out fetal death, that is not as common today as it was 100 years ago, we really don't live as long. So just an absolute crap article, part of the propaganda while they're killing us, to tell us that everybody's living longer. Now, the elites that stay healthy and don't eat GMO and stuff, they are living longer. We could live to 150, and obviously some people will be doing that. Countering other propaganda, yes, Hitler and Stalin did take the guns, debunking the meme that historical gun grabs by dictatorships is a myth. I've talked about this already a lot today because I want to get this article at Infowars.com with all the admissions and the Nazi laws out and the Soviet laws, so that people know the media is lying when they say that authoritarians don't take the guns. They're taking the guns all over the world. I mean, of course authoritarians take the guns. But it's like Gibbs saying he was told to deny there was a drone program, even when the program was admitted, and the media played along with it. Yeah, there's Mother Jones. Was Hitler really a fan of gun control? Conspiracy peddler Alex Jones said so. And I also peddled that there was a drone program even before it was declassified a decade ago. But, I mean, under Obama, oh, look, they attacked Drudge Report saying it's a lie. White House threatens executive orders on guns showing Hitler and Stalin. And the point with Drudge was that dictators do executive orders over their congresses or parliaments, not about taking the guns, even though they did. Stalin and Hitler did take the guns. Most of the guns already been taken by Lenin, but then it was 5 to 10 years hard labor. It was death under Stalin. And they went on to say, you know, Drudge is a liar. Stalin didn't take guns either. I mean, it was the death penalty. We have links to the Smithsonian, you name it in the article. It is on record. Nuremberg trials. But in a world of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Can you imagine the evilness of Infowars.com and DrudgeReport.com, that we would dare link to actual communist and Nazi propaganda posters about handing your guns in, and link to the Nuremberg trials, and link to facts? I mean, just the extremism of pointing out that Stalin and Hitler took guns. I mean, everyone knows Stalin and Hitler brought fruit baskets to everybody. I mean, Stalin and Hitler, you know, they sent people to luxury spas. Of course, they did, and the media will cut that out of context. I just can't handle it anymore. I mean, it's just getting crazy. And when you look at the search, though, it's all the liberal media saying Hitler didn't take guns, next to the Nazi sites saying I'm full of crap. I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. I don't even know what to say at this point. I mean, it just gets, yeah, click on the one. For people on TV, go down lower. It's the next link where we talk about them controlling the meme. Yeah, go to the Google search. Let's see if it's changed since I looked at it a few days ago. Yeah, that's somebody's article about it. You can actually have it go to the Google search. I think that article you link to does it. And the top one was a Nazi site. And then CNN, Mother Jones, Salon, Daily Beast, that we're liars. Hitler was a cupcake who didn't take the guns. Actually, they didn't say he was a cupcake. The Nazis did. They said that he was a pro-gun guy. Well, yeah, in the SS and Gestapo's hands, I guess he was. Just like you guys want the government to have guns, but not us. So, again, I stand absolutely reaffirmed as historical fact. You guys are like Hitler. Okay, let's continue here with some of the other news I haven't gotten to yet. There is quite a bit of it. I'm trying to find the stack of news I've got on censorship that's going on. But let's get to this. Oh, let me give you the toll-free number to join us. It's 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Yeah, there it is. Gun control in Germany, natvan.com, the top Nazi site, the most intellectual Nazi site out there. I know because I've read it. They actually try to put forward arguments instead of just accusing everyone under the sun of, if you fall on a banana peel, the Jews did it. So they're the most newsy of the Nazi sites here. Let's go back up. You've got Natvan saying Hitler didn't take guns, and then you've got Wikipedia saying he didn't take the guns. Total lies. And then you've got Polymike saying he didn't take the guns, Huffington Post saying he didn't take the guns, Salon, Hitler didn't take the guns, and a bunch of other liberal sites saying they didn't take the guns. I mean, it's just... Is there no end to this? And then they go, well, the Germans that were members of the Nazi Party had guns. Well, yeah. Hitler took the guns from the groups he was going to go after. Man, stop your lying. All it does is discredit you. That's all it does, scum. That's all it does. And I say most intellectual and Nazi sites, most of them just Photoshop big noses on people. Or Photoshop you into somebody who you're not and say, here you are at a bar mitzvah. I mean, it's just like unbelievable seediness and deceptiveness. All right, continuing here. Assad pulls ahead in Syrian war. Document cam shot, please. Assad pulls ahead in Syrian war. That's under the Israeli intelligence group, Debka file, and that's what I've seen, the 25-month conflict. Assad, who's not an angel, but compared to Al-Qaeda is an angel, is defeating, with the Iranian and Russian backers, our government our banker-run government trying to put Al-Qaeda in charge. But hey, the good news is for the globalists, they've been able to mass kill innocent Christians and Jews and blow up churches and synagogues, and Wahhabists have also targeted Muslim minority groups like Shiites and Alawites. And so it's just a pell-mell slaughterhouse. I have another article here in my stack about Saudi Arabia is just arresting Christians en masse. They're the most draconian in the Middle East, and they're the dominant group that our government works with, arresting Christians en masse. If you work in Saudi Arabia and they catch you with two people at their house praying to Jesus, you're arrested. I actually have that in my stack. I'll find it in a minute. And again, you'll never hear the media bash the Saudi Arabian government. And that's who's backing the takeover of Libya and Syria. And the Saudi Arabian government is so racist, folks. Their interpretation of the Quran is that black people, you can look this up, aren't humans. And they, quote, call them raisin heads and say they're animals. And the Quran doesn't even really say that, but it's one of those textbook interpretations by one of their leaders off of it. And the Shiites don't agree with that. They say, you just, not anybody can just be one of the clerics. You got to be related to, it doesn't matter. It's just, I've studied it all. It's a maze. But yeah, Saudi religious police arrest Ethiopian workers for practicing Christianity. Saudi Arabia, notorious religious police known as the Matawa, am I pronouncing that right, swooped in on a private gathering, released 53 Ethiopian Christians this month, shutting down their private prayer and arresting the peaceful group of foreign workers for merely practicing their faith, Fox News has learned. The mixed group of men and women were seized in a private residence in the city of Dammam. And how dare you pray? That's just... sounds like Colorado and California zoning people were. We know that 3 Christians, or what was it, like 5 Jews were meeting in Colorado and Denver, and they were like arresting them and stuff because of the zoning rule. By the way, I saw an article where the atheists have gone to the UN to complain about how they're being persecuted because people don't agree with them. It's the atheists that ran the communist. And you can read about millions of Christians being killed because they were Christian. And even if you renounced it, they'd blow your head off or work you to death in a slave camp. And again, I'm not saying all atheists are bad people. You can have what view you want, but I've run into so many where they always sign on to the eugenics and they sign on to the tyranny. And they tell me conspiracy theory is my religion. No, my religion is facts and being informed and not being an idiot, not being a sucker. Get that through your pea brain. And all I know is atheists are saying there isn't anything bigger There isn't anything out there. We know everything, blah, 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 or science is God. Science is a religion of the eugenicist. And sure, the fake churches created false debates with science. A lot of them are even wronger than the scientist. But real science shows the creation and the creator. I'm now digressing. We'll come back, take some calls. I got a bunch of other news. My son is going to pop in on the radio and TV because he heard the rebroadcast and saw the rebroadcast this morning because the rebroadcast is on a TV monitor in there to make sure, you know, we see the video streams going back out. So we have monitors all over the place to watch what's happening with our video traffic. And he watched it, was rolling on the ground over Mike Adams created this Obama Bites new vitamin. He created the big vitamin bottle. And so my son came up with a 19, well, he came up with 18 of them. CJ came up with number 19, other Obama Bites. So it's pretty funny. We're going to be fighting tyranny with satire. Straight ahead, your phone calls. Let's go to your phone calls and jam them in quick here. Todd in New York. Let's talk about Civil War and guns. Welcome, sir, to the airwaves, Todd.
How are you, Alex? Big shout out from the Western Catskills.
Good to have you here with us.
Yeah, yesterday you brought the question up to Dr. Ron Paul, and that was awesome. I was wondering if the elitists are probably looking to have us actually engage in a civil war, producing population reduction and more reason to come and take our confiscate our
well,
weapons.
Yeah, if they can orchestrate a crisis or get one going and then come out on top, they'll do it. But if we're aware of them trying to start a civil war and we're exposing that they're the bad guys, they won't have the political capital to carry out. That's why we've got to demonize them with the things they've done. They are demons, and so we demonize them.
Yes, sir. Now, is there another possibility that this whole Second Amendment issue is a distraction from greater and more important things?
Well,
like
I don't think it's a distraction, but it's like if your fortress is being attacked and the main assault comes at one wall, and they're going to breach it if you don't go stop them, and then they have another army you don't know about that hits the other wall, what do? So, yeah, they're hitting us from all sides, and undoubtedly, while we battle this, they're still looting the daylights out of our treasury. They're still getting ready to launch more wars. They're still gutting everything else. You're absolutely right. It's just that if they can kill, it's the only culture we've got left. Guns unify people across racial lines. Guns lower crime, 49% the last 20 years. The system hates them. And the gun culture is the only thing liberty-wise that's really been growing exponentially. Some other stuff's been growing as well, but not as fast as tyranny. They can see the arc of the gun culture defeating them. So even though it hurts them, they still see they're going to lose if they don't kill it. So I'm telling you, we got to defend the Second Amendment. It's absolutely right up there at the top, along with exposing abortion.
Indeed. Yeah. One of the things that I thought they might be distracting us from is, for example, Dr. Kesh, the gentleman from Iran, who suggests that he has accomplished cold fusion.
Yeah, there's a lot of people say they've done that, and there's been some proof of it, but they can never do it in large enough quantities of power, and they can't make it feasible to actually power things. That's why I don't cover a lot of alternative energy, because so much of it is either an investment that won't go anywhere because there's no market grid, delivery system set up, no scalability, or because it's riddled with scams. I mean, it's just a minefield. I appreciate your call. 100 times I've had people say, you've got to get this guy on and invest. If everybody invests, he can buy them the energy units for power plants in your own backyard. The most feasible thing is solar power, even if you start only partially, that's not on the grid, that's at your house, and wind turbine at your house if you're in a windy area, and well water, and horticulture, and the type of stuff Mike Adams is working with. Self-sufficient systems. The problem is you got to have money to do that. Let's go ahead and talk to Brendan in Wisconsin. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for taking my call. You and JB were nice enough to post a couple of pieces that I had written in the past couple of months, and one was on the State of the Union address. And I sent him also a three-step process for combating the crisis reaction solution script that we know is coming.
Tell us briefly, how do you combat the Hegelian dialectic?
Awareness expansion, reaching out beyond just the AJS, Alex Jones Show listeners. Cooperation, and that would mean public outreach and derailing the mainstream media's assault on gun owners. And then preemption, and that's filming on the ground and get people ready to go if something happens in their neighborhood.
No, I agree. I mean, the biggest thing is just waking up. The tyrants have taken over, and just get active. Just getting active, getting used to doing YouTube videos, calling into talk radio, getting your own local weekend show. It's easier than you think. Access TV, going to the State House, calling into C-SPAN, saying no. When government tries to dominate you and act like you're a criminal, say, hey, I'm not a criminal, you're a servant. And even if they beat you, then you sue them, then you defeat them. You know, you've got to be willing to get past your fear and the cowing that we've come under. I mean, look at how people are scared of the police. People are scared of everything. Well, folks, if you act like a bunch of sheep, you're going to get gang raped by tyrants. We'll be back with more calls. My son in studio with some part 2 of the Obama bites. It's all coming up straight ahead. And then Michael Savage. He said he'll be with us 30 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on, he didn't want to wear his voice out, but he said, you know, we'll play it by ear. So Michael Savage coming up. You don't want to miss any of this transmission, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the health ranger, Mike Adams, was here yesterday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Jones. And my son, who will go unnamed at this time, we're not going to put him on TV. He's just here via radio. He came to work with me this morning, as he does at least once a week, and does his homeschool here at the office, then works in media editing and research and studying history. And, again, we had on the TV screen in the green room where he was doing his schoolwork, the rebroadcast of yesterday with Mike Adams, who brought in the Obama bites. It looks like a big medicine bottle or vitamin bottle, and it's got Feinsteinium in it. One a day keeps freedom away. Obama bites, chewable multivitamin, made in China, and it breaks down the fact that it'll help you be an absolute slave. And so my son just started rattling off a whole bunch of other ingredients that are going to be in Obama Bites Plus, and he even wrote it down here. He's 10. I'm pretty proud of him. Everybody says their kids are exceptional because you are exceptional. Humans are exceptional, but my son really is exceptional. But let me show viewers this right here. He just wrote this up. He had this idea about an hour ago. Obama Bites Plus, kind of like we have Pollen Burst Plus at InfoWarsHealth.com, and he came up with hopium, plus mercury, lead, uranium, and plutonium, product of China. I like hoaxification extract. That's actually, I said hoaxification, and then CJ had the idea of the extract. So let's start here, son, with why you liked Mike Adams' little piece of dark satire so much, and then break down the 19 different things you've come up with.
I mean, it was like so funny and also so real. Like, these are the things they want us to do, and also they're influencing it by television and stuff. Obey, obey, obey. This is correct. This is right. I'm talking...
Aspartame is good for you. Type 2 diabetes and cancer. Yeah.
Mercury doesn't hurt you. It helps you. Let's see some more of these lists. Hopium gives you false hope about Obama and leads you into communism. Also, here's a good one. Tyrannium allows you to accept tyrants easily.
You came up with that. Good job.
Let's add suckerism. Obeying the macho policemen.
Let's not skip to the end. What is this one you came up with? Deathy. Don't touch the microphone, honey. Okay, what's this one right here? It's, what's that one you came up with? Deathium, or what is that?
What number?
It's number 3. How do you pronounce that?
Deathium.
And what is that? The death panels?
Yes, indeed.
Well, it's for the Earth. It's for the...
Of course, Obama loves you.
Obama. That's number 5, sheepium. What's radium 3G?
The 3G stands for 3 grams. And radium, directly shipped from Fukushima, allows you to be radiated easily.
Okay, so Ann Coulter was involved in this formulation.
Of course.
She says, so there's a little neocon influence. Good, I'm glad. Okay, let's move to sheepism? Sheepism?
Yeah. Obama wants us all to act like this, and his globalist masters do as well.
Obama, Obama, Obama. Now, you really liked this morning the thing about, don't touch the mic, If you had headphones on, you'd hear that.
Yes, sir.
It's all right. Teaching you here. You're doing well, young Padawan. Now, listen, let's expand here on the new apprentice. Younger and more powerful. Now, listen, let's go to the next one here. Let's talk to, what's number 6?
Number 6 is called pettyism. Just dumbs down your basic human instincts.
So care if somebody has a Jabba the Hutt toy, it must be racist. But if they're aborting 52% of the black babies, that's not a problem.
Yes, that's exactly
That's
what it
pettyism.
is.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
Well, I mean, it's not bad to kill the babies, but the Jabba is obviously racist.
Of course.
Okay, now what's number 7?
Falsism.
Okay, what's that?
Believing false things.
So that's actually the religion of Mr. Gibbs.
Like 9/11.
Okay, what's number 8?
Number 8 is hypnoism. Allows Obama's master hypnotist to take full effect.
Okay, good.
Without it, it sort of degrades.
And what's daisyism? Like being in a daze? That's more of the zombieism?
Yes. It's a prototype of zombieism.
Okay, guys, I see number 9, zombieism. I skipped that. And what's that next one?
Dystopianism.
You came up with a dystopic ingredient?
Yes.
But seeing a dystopic, that would be freedomism, but it would be a dystopianism.
Yes, of course.
Okay, good. You understand that? What's the next one? Number 12 is very important.
Slaveism.
Slaveism. Now, what's that do? That's national service. That's compulsory, but it's not compulsory? But it is compulsory?
Yeah.
But it's not compulsory?
It's basically accepting all their lies and trash and things they put out there.
I mean, there is an admitted drone program, but there isn't.
Yeah.
And you're a conspiracy theorist if you say there is.
Exactly, Dad.
Good. Well done. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. We've got slaveism, fearlium. What's fearlium?
Expands your sense of fear, so you're like, yes, sir, yes, sir. Well, of course, we'll let you. We'll let you stick your hands down our pants. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Also helps with it helps with the TSA.
Okay, so the pervert training.
Yes.
All right. Now the next thing is bad man. Stop. Yeah. Okay, and then we've got what's fluoride, or what is that? How do you?
It's an intense concentrate of fluoride.
Good to just directly kill people immediately. Yeah. Thulium, obviously, after you've had the fluoride,
minuses your IQ by 56.
Well, that'll make people happy because it does reduce that. Racism, what's that?
Makes you very racist about all the other comments that really aren't racist. It makes you real racist about things that aren't racist because Obama says that it's racist.
It's racist if you don't bow down. Okay,
of course.
That makes sense. Suckerism.
The same thing as fearlium.
So it's just fun to be an idiot.
Yeah.
It's good to be conned.
Of course.
It's bad to say you're being conned.
That's exactly what they want to sell you on. That's basically one of their huge parts of their agenda, just make you a sucker.
Okay, what's number 18?
Liarism. Allows you to cope with all their lies and think they're true.
Okay, so the Karl Rove's drinking that. Okay. Hoaxification.
Like 9/11, you believe this vitamin will influence your brain to think that terror threats and all sorts of, like...
Well, they're openly saying, give us more tax money, let us bankrupt you, or terrorists will attack.
Of course.
The very terrorists they run publicly.
Of course. Al-Qaeda, one of the people on the most wanted list was at the Pentagon a few years ago.
That's right, Anwar al-Awlaki. So good. Anyways...
there's also, can you guys zoom in on the part that what you'll look like? It's the guy with the TV head.
Yeah, let's see him. Now, who is this guy? He looks like he took some Prozac.
He's a Prozac taker. And also, he's crazy. See how the circles around the eyes? That represents hypnotic influence by Obama.
Obama, our loving king?
Yes, on this version, Father.
Yes, sir.
I have lots of new drawings, like a free brainwasher.
Oh, you can get get a government credit for a free brainwasher?
Yes, sir.
That looks good. And then it says helps develop type 2 diabetes. I guess that's the aspartame. It says sweetened with aspartame, helps develop type 2 diabetes and cancer. And it says happyism. This is the copy I made, and you wrote more on it. Happyism. What's all that say here? You read it. I can't read your writing. What's this over?
This is exactly the opposite of the...
Oh, so it's saying and no, like no peanut products. It says no freedom.
No way.
No freedom, no lifeum, no happyism, no destiny. And
no
what's
America.
Oh, no America, yeah.
Well,
And not made in America.
that's exactly what they want. That's what their globalist plan is, to enslave and defeat and destroy America. The globalists are offshore bankers. And they're just looting every country as they go, basically, politically.
But Obama cares about us. That's why.
Of course.
That's why he paid $22 billion to ship General Motors to China.
Oh, yeah, and Daddy, I just want to comment on the thing you did on Piers Morgan. I think that was absolutely boss, so awesome.
This is Unscripted, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thank you, Sean. Good job. And, hey, good job to Mike Adams.
Oh, yeah, his report was very good about the globalists wanting to start a civil war and stuff. I enjoyed that very much. And by the way, I wasn't just watching in there today on the Read broadcast. I was listening yesterday.
Oh, you were?
Uh-huh. That's how I knew.
But you told me you were watching it, too. You ran it.
Yeah, of course. I was looking in the green screen room. So thanks for having me on, Dad. I want to get on some more, and I hope I can reveal my identity soon.
All right, well done. All right, go on.
Bye, Dad.
Love you. All right, there you go. Man, I wish I had some more sons. My girls are great. I need to train them to be commandos against the globalists. The issue is he just is a natural. He just wants to do it. He's into it. He's read more history books than I guarantee 100 adults have. He's obsessed with it. Okay, let's go to phone calls as promised, then back to the news. And then Michael Savage is joining us. Let's talk to Greg in Canada. Greg, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's Craig in Vancouver. I just wanted to follow up to your interview with David Icke, I guess, last week.
Yeah.
Regarding the hack. I've been having this thought a lot lately, and the lie is the hack. It's the lie. And if I could go a little inception on you, I really feel that this Santa Claus thing is not as innocent as people make it out to be.
Oh, no, they teach you that like a secret guy comes down the chimney and gives you presents, and you lie to your kids, and it implants kids with the idea that lies are real. And, people could say it's fun, it's fun at one level, but no, I think Santa Claus should be publicly executed.
Well, and it just,
I'm being sarcastic, sorry.
It just spiderwebs into all these other facets, and I really believe it's one of the pillars of a New World Order psyop. It is a psyop because it has all the makings of it. We do it to ourselves. You have parents doing it to their own children. It's probably the first lie they ever tell their children. Older kids, when they figure out the lie, the parents bring them into the fold to then perpetuate the lie on the younger kids. It just goes on, and I really think if people want to...
No, I hear you, sir. I hear you. I got to put you on hold. We have CNN Live in there. They just put it on screen. He's on another, you didn't build that. He just said, quote, you can't do things on your own. That's how our system works. You can't do things on your own. That's how our system works. So there he is preaching collectivism again. Unbelievable that you can't be an individual. I mean, this is an all-out Borg assault as they work as hard as they can to shut down our power plants, cut off our energy, shut down our factories, while selling the image that they're helping the factories. That's the Communist News Network crap. You can't do things by yourself. That's how our system works. My God, the antithesis of our republic. You've got to cut it off. Turn it off. Really, I can't paint a painting myself. I can't, and then we individualistically build things and build a better society. We collaborate when we choose. Man, this is total communitarianism crap. Guys, I know you have that recorded. I'm going to play that when Michael Savage comes on. I'm pretty upset right now. Because it's just meant to just get us completely used to it. I'm sorry, caller. Go ahead and finish your point.
Well, basically, I just think it's really insidious. I think what it is when you're born, you talk about discernment. You talk about that, knowing when something's not right, knowing when something's not wrong. And I think what happens is every year at Christmas time, we it's like a patch. It's like a Microsoft patch. It reprograms that.
It tells you lies are okay, lies are fun.
Yeah, and it's like the test touch when kids know there's something confusing and it's not right. They instead of the default, which is running alone.
I remember being one of my earliest memories, 2 or 3 years old. I guess I was 2 because my mother just finished a stocking and shown it to me that she still has it. She hand wove. And I remember my dad going, no, Santa Claus comes down the chimney here. And it was a house with a small house in Dallas. He was going to dental school, so they were poor somewhat. It was a little bitty thing in the small fireplace. And I said, well, he said, no, he comes down like in between the mortar, here in the bricks. I remember my dad going, no, he comes down. I go, but he's fat. And there was a fire going, and he goes, and he would burn, Dad. And he's like, okay, you're right, Santa Claus isn't real. But there was my dad carrying out the ritual to tell me that a fat guy was going to come down a chimney. And he still remembers me going, but Dad, and arguing with him. And it's not that I'm even that smart. I just instinctively knew the way he was saying it, too. Because when my dad would instruct me about things, I could tell, like, don't stick your finger in that light socket. Don't go in that street. I could tell the way he was saying it, it wasn't true. Go ahead.
My mom used to say to me, like, well, if you believe, then it is. And you say that all the time on the radio. It's people like, if you believe, the New World Order.
If you believe there's not cancer viruses in the shot, there's not. If you believe Obama's telling the truth, if you believe you didn't build it, I know, and you can't choose your reality. You can try to choose your destiny and build a better world. You can choose to have a better attitude, but you can't, like, let's be positive about the world. Well, no, if it's not positive, if it's bad, a robber coming to kill me, that's not positive. What's positive is meeting it with force.
So parents out there, you got to stop lying to your kids. You got to look them in the eyes, beg for their forgiveness, because you've really been lying to them and setting them up for. And not all people are the same. I mean, it doesn't take hold in all people the same. But I really think it's an insidious seed that's planted in the minds of children at a very young age. You said the devil's chariot is pulled by good-meaning, Christians or whatever. Like he's in his sleigh with the 12 reindeer, and it just goes on and on and on. And anyway, I just wanted you.
No, I hear you. I hear you, Craig. I totally agree with you. My mind is just reeling as they had the transcript on CNN just now. We're getting the audio of Obama saying, you can't do things on your own. That's how our system works. I mean, it's just like total cult Jim Jones. You cannot leave the compound. We do nothing alone. You never have privacy. I mean, it's diametrically opposed to what makes humans great. And that's why I'm just done with collectivists. I'm done with their bleeding heart, how they try to trick you into accepting what they want. They want it for control. And now it's coming down to an end game. And small government builds great societies, not this big thing. Now, after they steal everything, they're going to make the government small. After they've stolen everything, they will. But not before. Neo in New York, you're on the air, cybersecurity. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, man, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, buddy.
I wish I could say the same. I run a small online business, and I'm honestly, really afraid of what that executive order that Obama signed is going to do to my business.
Well, the good news is nobody's going to follow it. I mean, we've gotten to the point now where the public doesn't even know how to follow what they're told. It's so complex. So it is a total takeover, global taxes, global internet taxes, total tracking, internet IDs. And they're trying to screw the web up. They know it's not going to work. It's wreck healthcare, bring in total communism. It's wreck the internet, bring in a subscription-based system. That's what they say they're going to do.
I'm not going to comply to anything that these cretins say anymore.
I'm not either. I'm telling you, it's just time has come to just not do what they say.
Exactly. I spent a lot of money, a lot of my hard time on my site for these people to shut it down. I'm not going to take it. I don't care if they sue me. I don't care if they arrest me.
Well, look, they can't go after all of us. They need to get us to comply. And you know what? The big gun manufacturers are lining up to leave the states and cities where they're trying to take the guns, and now they're backing off. It's time to really hate these people and get aggressive with these rat scum pieces of filth. Stay with us. Michael Savage coming up. All you got to do is wake up from the big lie, rediscover common sense and history, not think of being informed as work, but as being alive, and things will turn around very, very quickly. Michael Savage is coming up when we start the next hour, and I'm excited. His new book, he's had many New York Times bestsellers, A Time for War, dealing with China. And, well, the system is definitely trying to censor this book, and that's not an ad pitch. We're not even selling the book yet. We're going to do a deal with the publisher and sell it. We haven't been unable to hook that up yet. But, I mean, I've tracked it, and he is being blocked out. They're not even talking about it. Because Red Dawn, In fact, I forgot about this. When you guys pull Communist Chinese ordered Red Dawn re-edited so I can actually source the article. I mean, it's on record that happened. China owns our debt. It's not even really our debt. We've been maneuvered into this while propping up the banks with the tens of trillions, and then China buys the U.S. treasuries. Now the Federal Reserve's the biggest buyer of those, but still net, China owns more. In fact, here's some of those financial news headlines for people out there. Why should taxpayers give big banks $83 billion a year? Bloomberg. Well, Bloomberg, it sounds like Bloomberg's exposing things, and Jamie Dimon. Folks, the big banks, the 6 Federal Reserve mega shareholders, they get $85 billion a month. $40 billion of that just to buy off toxic derivatives that were already written off and triaged. So, see, you read this stuff. I mean, they're getting us at the open window with monetization. The original $878 billion or whatever, they just said that's a really big number. That was what they could get each time they went to the window and then act like, oh, we paid that back, but not all the rest. It's all just smoke and mirrors because they know big numbers. You know, oh, Bloomberg talked about $83 billion. Folks, it's $85 billion in another program every month. Let's continue here. That's QE3. U.S. oil imports from Middle East increase. Financial Times of London. Well, they got regulations here making it hard to drill. Obama's paycheck exemption from sequester. Man, that guy's worth like $5 million off his stupid book. And you think it'd be like Rand Paul and like give his salary back or something, but not Obama. Just what a piece of garbage. Raising payroll taxes on the poorest Americans when he pledged not to. I mean, that is cold-blooded, man. I mean, that is just, and they still love him. They just, oh, rape me, hurt me. Oh, I love it. Why consumers may be on a crash course. And it just goes into Walmart, CNBC freaking out over the payroll increases is just absolutely causing the consumer index to plummet. Parents are robbing retirement for college. The big bubble is the colleges, folks. Most of those degrees, you're going to end up working at a grocery store if you're lucky. Not so golden years, over 75, burdened by debt. Oh, yeah, now you don't get to retire. But they're like, don't worry, 73 is the new 30. But you don't live as long. They're just getting you ready for debt slaves, the globalist. That's just some of it. Inflation increasing. Yeah, no kidding with all this quantitative easing. And I'm not trying to be negative here. Admitting, I mean, if I had my leg chopped off in a car wreck, I wouldn't go, I think I'll just bleed to death and just say I'm healthy. No, I'd be tying a tourniquet on there. We need to tie a tourniquet on this leg right now. Right now, right now. All right, Michael Savage is coming up in the next segment. This little 5-minute thing's kind of a no man's land because we don't do the news, so I wanted to get him on where everybody can hear him. But most people hear this segment. Let's go to some phone calls right now. Looking forward to Michael Savage. I actually get excited about that. It's hard to get me excited about stuff, but a very interesting individual. Robert in West Virginia on the gun grab, which is now official. A memorandum out of the Justice Department says they want to ban all our guns. Yep. Just more confirmation of these dirty crooks. Go ahead, Robert.
Yes, I'll have to hurry because I know you don't have much time. I represent a small group of intellectual patriots that have a think tank. We have been analyzing the gun grab and the political chessboard for the last 3 months. And what we have is some dire news. What we see is just like when you fight an enemy, you use their greatest strengths as their weaknesses. The greatest strength of America is its guns. And so what we see is that intentional gun grab, in which causes blood on the streets, in which small groups of patriot soldiers will take control of small areas, including parts of our nuclear stockpile, nuclear, chemical, biological. In doing so, our government will call martial law, and China and Russia will call an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council and say that America has fallen and that in order to secure our world, we must go into the United States and secure the nuclear, biological, and
wow, listen, I played clips where they actually put this out in movies and things as a preconditioner, and you're absolutely right. At NLEO 9, 10, 11, 12 was classified. They had troops from 15 nations on tabletop drills, simulations on paper, their generals, invading America if rebels took over. And that's all exactly. You're absolutely right. Push us into a civil war. Have the Patriots take over certain areas. West Point's training to retake areas from the, quote, right-wingers. That's all official. And then bring in the I-4 foreign troops. And I've talked to people from West Point. I've talked to top generals on and off air. And they say that's what is being trained for. But that's actually in the news. You're right. That is how crazy these people are. But you know what? I think that would fail as well if they tried to bring in Russians and Chinese. But that's what the NAFTA superhighways are for, all of it. And again, Russia is bad and corrupt, but it's not as allied with the globalists as China. I really see China as the main dog that the global bankers are using as their backup. And notice how the globalists have transferred everything to China. They're putting all their eggs in that basket.
What we see is that what will happen is that a group will have control of one of our nuclear chemical stockpiles, and what will happen will be is that they'll announce that they will not allow foreign troops onto our soil, and either the Patriot group will hit the invading army with a nuclear weapon, or it will be instigated by the Federalists. Therefore, a limited nuclear strike would occur, and also hitting North Korea and Iran, and that's how America dies.
Well, I know the globalists have been moving offshore and digging in. I tell you, I look at it all as crazy as it sounds. I think what you just said is very plausible. So what's your think tank, a bunch of retired military officers? My think tank is a bunch of Mensa rejects and Luciferian people that denied entrance into the Luciferians because we refused to join because we were Christians. So you were a Mason then, okay.
No, not a Mason. I just refused to accept the light of Lucifer.
No, I hear you. Just wild, yeah. Very wild. All right, Michael Savage coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news. We have the clip. It's coming up with Michael Savage. Obama saying again, you don't do things alone in America. That's how our system works. You didn't build that. A new clip live on CNN 25 minutes ago. I was just telling Michael Savage about it during the break. He's like, you're kidding? He did it again. Yes, we're going to be playing that clip. But the reason I wanted to get Michael Savage on is A Time for War. Michael Savage, many #1 New York Times bestsellers, 30-something books, multiple doctorates. I'm not going to go over his whole bio. Most of you know who he is in the talk radio world, or you're hiding under a rock somewhere. But he also writes for WorldNet Daily. They are censoring this. And, you know, this is a big subject I've talked about. You notice that Red Dawn was held up, Red Dawn 2, for 2 years because the Chinese government demanded and threatened Hollywood because it was Chinese as the bad guys attacking America. That was re-edited and made to North Koreans, costing them millions of dollars to reshoot and re-edit. Now, Michael Savage, breaking, WorldNetDaily.com. China lobby censoring new book. And we'll get this story linked up at Infowars.com as well. And this is not a ploy to sell books. Michael Savage, arguably the #1 talk show host in the country, doesn't usually do this because I listen to the show and have followed it to sell books. This is in a news blackout because across the board, China owns our fraudulent debt. China has thousands of front companies. Al Gore's on the board of Apple with Foxconn and the suicide nets. They are the liberal tyrants, and they are the new globalist muscle. Michael Savage joins us with this breaking news. And, Michael, it is so exciting to get you on the broadcast.
Well, it's always good to be on, especially someone who kicked the limeys behind on air. As you well know, you know what I think of the spineless side of the Brits. I was always an Anglophile until this thing came along where this slime, the socialist slime, slandered me and said I said things I didn't say, and I'm the only American broadcaster, Alex, not allowed to enter Britain. I'm on a list with murderers and terrorists, and nobody in the media, with the exception of Alex Jones right now, dares even talk about how is that possible. Why is my State Department not lobbying on my behalf? But let's not go into the England thing. It's great to be on your show.
It's great to have you here, as long as we can keep you. I know you got your own show coming up tonight. Let's first plug that, because you now are on Cumulus and exploding across the country.
Well, that's pretty good. Number one, they're the best company in the business, and I'm not just saying it because I work with them. They are the best company in the business, number one. Number two, I'm on the best stations in the country. For example, Alex, I finally got on in New York City on WABC, 9 o'clock at night. Now, what happened? Michael Savage, who's he? I exploded within 2 months to number one amongst younger listeners, mainly males. I mean, women, as you well know, are not a big listenership in talk radio in general. I always joke, I say I have 8 women listeners across the country.
Yeah, they're busy not having kids as the whole West dies.
Well, the men listen. But here's the question, Alex, because you have a younger demo, and guys mainly. Why are they listening to you? Why did they find Michael Savage, an older guy on WABC? I beat other talk stations. I beat all news stations. I beat
because young people are looking for men role models in the age of crucifying John Wayne. They understand they're having their testicles chopped off, and they want to fight back and have a future. Well, first they have their testicles cut off chemically. They're chemicalized to destroy their masculinity. That's right.
And if they survive the chemical castration, the next thing is the educational castration. If they survive the chemical and educational castration, I mean, what's left for them? They don't know which way to turn in this country. You know, Alex, last week I started my show by saying I saw a kung fu movie when I was out on vacation last week. I was watching a lot of television, and there was a picture of a kung fu academy in China with thousands of young Chinese being taught by a really tough, mean kung fu teacher, and he's saying to them, no weakness, no pain, no mercy. And he says, what do we learn here? And the Chinese scream back in Chinese, no weakness, no pain, no mercy. And I say, look at my sad sack country. We have a government and an educational establishment teaching our children to say, I'm weak, I'm in pain, this hurts, that hurts, I need the government to help me. Now, who wins this battle in the long run, Alex? That doesn't take a genius to figure out what's happening, does it?
No.
Okay, so that's where we're at. So now we know that China has lobbied very effectively in Hollywood. The Hollywood sewer pipe, as I've called it affectionately for 20 years now, the Hollywood sewer pipe is controlled by many different factors, but the number one factor is money. Since China controls the money flow to the banks and the banks control Hollywood, we don't have to figure out who controls Hollywood, do we? So my agent said to me when I told him my book is being sabotaged from the top, and I'll explain it in a minute, my agent called me and he said this, and I'm quoting Alex, this is a top New York literary agent, he said, from the government to mainstream media, oh no, that's him, but here, he said, from the government to mainstream media, there is a petrifying fear of China and the potential loss of their hypothetical business. The agent said to Savage, he was reminded of a conversation he had with a top Hollywood executive who said to him, they wouldn't produce any films that were anti-China for fear of being blackballed in their market, basically letting the Chinese government censor our movies in this country. Then he said to me, Savage, there must be a way to galvanize conservative media behind the time for war as the only book willing to take on China, the agent told Savage. Well, guess what, Alex? Aside from you, nobody will discuss this book and its premise.
Well, let's break down what they're censoring here. But to tie in, Obama shutting down dozens of power plants a week. They're not letting new plants open. They're totally clean coal power plants, about 51% of our power. We're getting ready for that clip, guys. Get ready. This is brand new. This just happened at the end of the last hour. Obama is in Newport, Virginia, at one of the shipyards talking about getting America going. And I saw this on CNN during the break earlier. I couldn't believe it. This is the incredible restatement of you didn't build that. Here's the clip of Obama. Isn't that powerful and dynamic?
Alex, I'm laughing because that's radio.
No, I agree. That's radio.
It happens to all.
It happens to all of us.
No, it's a relief. Thank God we're not mainstream media. That wouldn't have happened, and we would have heard nothing anyway.
See, the problem is that they're recording it and they're off the DVR on TV, trying to run it through the board. We'll get it. It's amazing. But just put it back up, because on screen it says that, Obama, you can't do things by yourself. That's how our system works. That's a quote. Michael, what do you say to that quote?
Well, I would disagree with him, because the sex therapists across America are going into our churches and teaching people how to pleasure themselves without anyone present. So on the face of it, Obama's wrong.
Oh, we have the clip. Here it is.
Get up early in the morning and get to this shit.
I want to bring in John King out of Washington and Jessica Yellen. So a couple things that struck me. First of all, John, two things.
Gotta love it. Hey, let's just shut it down, guys. You guys have had enough fun. Hey, it's real radio.
I feel better, Alex. I mean, now my staff is glowing because they realize they're not the only ones.
Hey, people love it. It's real radio. We're going to get the clip. They were running
Alex,
2 feeds that time.
I remember when I was a kid in New York, I used to like to watch bad television, good television, didn't matter. And there was a Spanish language station that was very primitive. They had props. We used to watch it late at night on Saturday, my friends and I, when we were 11. They were so poorly produced, props would fall over in the middle of a show. I mean, outfits would fall off. And you know what? We watched it. We loved it. So what's the difference? It's a good time.
Well, it's real, and it just happened. It's incredible to see him doing this. Now let's get into your book here that they're trying to censor. The premise of the book that I'm holding in my hand, A Time for War with Michael Savage.
Well, the premise is quite simple, which is that, okay, it starts with a helicopter in Afghanistan, a Chinook, carrying a squad of Navy SEALs plummeting to the earth in Afghanistan. Remember when that happened in 11, when our great commander-in-chief was never blamed for the loss of more Navy SEALs in one incident than in the entire history of the SEALs unit? How come there's never been an investigation of who put all those Navy SEALs in a single old flying helicopter and flew them into a hot zone? Who did that? Who in the military made that decision? Or worse yet, was the decision made by someone other than in the military? Why has there been no Republican outcry? That's how my book begins. But the question is, what happens next? Well, I fictionalized that story in order to make America wake up to the fact that maybe, just maybe, someone will ask, who killed all our Navy SEALs? And number two, my allegation, meaning through my fiction, it's a novel, A Time for War, is that there's a Chinese agent in Afghanistan who brings it down with an EMP attack. And the whole book is basically about a lethal conspiracy to not only neutralize our military, but also a two-pronged attack that will disarm the American military through EMP blasts, and then release a deadly toxin, killing hundreds of thousands of civilians. And my hero, Jack Hatfield, and Dover, a young lady, race to locate this new ground zero and save an unsuspecting country. That's the theme of A Time for War in my novel. It's a novel. It's a novel. That's what it is. So, Alex, the question is, where do I come up with the theory that I am being manipulated, or the
But they're doing it all over the place. I mean, the government's owned by China now. The globalists signed us on to communism and used NAFTA and GATT and all these rules to shut down our industry so only China could thrive. They got their population jumping off suicide nets. I mean, this is how they brought America down.
Yeah, but let me answer the question. People are going to say Savage still didn't answer the fact that he's making a great charge here, that the China lobby is censoring his new book. Where is the proof, right? Well, let me give you one piece of evidence, because I'm trained as a scientist, and the only proof is a series of evidentiary facts. It's like a court of law, right? We can't definitively show you a video of Chinese agents sitting and talking and saying, kill the book. I can show you facts and let people draw the conclusions for themselves. When this book first came out, there was an ad campaign that was leading with, is China already at war with the U.S., okay? That was the lead line, is China already at war with the U.S.? By the time the book appeared, that ad line was dropped, and it became a book about terrorism, generic, okay? A generic book about terrorism. Secondly, we had an ad campaign planned for the day of launch, which was last week on a Tuesday. It was supposed to be on the top of some major websites. I will not mention which. I woke up early in the morning looking forward to seeing the ads. They didn't appear. I was screaming and yelling all day long. Finally, a word came back that it was bumped because of this, it was bumped because of that, it was a mistake, and the ads that were meant to run were suddenly running on Sunday morning and on Sunday midnight. They were never appearing where they were supposed to appear. It didn't happen by accident, Alex. Money was paid, contracts were signed. This was shafted from the top down. Can I prove it? No, but I can offer some evidence. And the publisher is owned by a German holding company, by the way, without smearing the publisher for obvious reasons. There's hardly an American publisher left that isn't owned by an international publisher. This one is owned by the biggest publishing group in the world, which happens to be headquartered in Germany. We all well know that the Germans are interested in penetrating the Chinese market. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, as the CFR has said, in the New World Order, everything's being positioned to China to leverage everybody out at the lowest common denominator to bring in this system.
Well, the one good news about it all is I've always liked Chinese food, so maybe I can look forward to that. But the thing is, that wouldn't be the bad. That would be the only good news of the whole thing. It's not a bad cuisine if you don't to get low salt, low fat Chinese food, which is impossible to find in San Francisco. Is this Sinophobia, Alex? Because we're going to be accused. Look, you're a renegade broadcaster. I'm somewhat of a renegade broadcaster. You know that. We're sort of outcasts, and we love it because that's what we are. We don't want to be one of these old men sitting on the boardwalk with our pants legs rolled up complaining like Bill Plant did yesterday from CBS. Did you hear that sound clip? You got to hear this one. Bill Plant complains to his friend Howie Kurtz of the major media. Howie Kurtz and Bill Plant. And Bill says this. He says, we've gotten used to being called whiny lapdogs. I've heard it for 30 years. But he said, this is about access to the president. And access to the president has been cut and pushed and curtailed over every administration I've covered. But here's the nub of it, Howie. This administration has the tools to reach people on their own now. They don't need us that much. And to the extent that they're able to do that, Howie, they're undercutting the First Amendment, which guarantees a free press through many voices. Isn't that hilarious?
That's right. These idiots sold out, repeated and regurgitated what the establishment said, and now they're being totally cut off, and they're complaining.
Yeah, a free press through many voices, as long as they're all liberal voices. Certainly, you've never been on the free press. I've never been heard from by the free press. We don't exist, Alex. Our large audiences don't exist.
That's right. They're the ultimate censors, legends in their own mind, who sit up there on a mountain telling us what exists and doesn't exist. Did you see Gibbs, regardless of where you stand on the drone program, saying he was told to say the program didn't exist, like the Wizard of Oz, even when the program was public? Did you see that?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Gibbs. I happen to like drones. I know you and I disagree on this. I'd rather see a drone go and kill a real terrorist than sending an American platoon over there to do it.
No. I'm talking about them being domestically used against us.
Of course we're against drones in America. The only drone I would approve of would be a drone manned by a government official. A manned drone, not a V-2 rocket. Remember, Hitler used the first drones. They were called V-1s and V-2s. Remember the unmanned rockets that he sent on England? What, now our own government is using V-1s against us?
Absolutely. And in fact, Michael Savage here with us, the crew's doing a great job trying to capture stuff live off TV. We do, drum roll please, have the clip of Obama at a shipbuilding factory in Virginia just about 30 minutes ago. He said this is breaking, you didn't build it statement, number 2 from CNN. Here it is.
But in order for us to make that happen, I'm going to need you. The one thing about being president is after 4 years, you get pretty humble. You'd think maybe you wouldn't, but actually you become more humble. You realize what you don't know. You realize, all the mistakes you make. But you also realize you can't do things by yourself. That's not how our system works. You've got to have the help and the goodwill of Congress. And what that means is you've got to make sure that constituents of members of Congress are putting some pressure on them.
So again, that's a backhanded way. He's saying, oh, I can't be a dictator. But what he's really saying in a factory is you can't do things by yourself.
Well, I think what he's saying is I need you to run to Congress and make them cave in and make sure I can give increases in taxes again, is what he's really saying. Yeah, of course he doesn't believe anyone does anything without the government's help. This is how statists think. This is how statists have been brainwashed from childhood to believe that, for example, Picasso didn't paint his painting by himself. He'd argue that he had to go buy the paints, he had to buy the paintbrush, he had to buy the easel, and he had to rent the model.
But other individuals contributed to make a better choice and more variance in society. The idea of collectivism, all it creates is nightmares.
Well, we understand that, but Alex, listen to how they think. You know as well as I do how they think. Why do you think that in the Soviet Union of the past and in China today there is no individual art? The art has to be state-approved art. Is that correct? How different is that than state-approved art in America today, where there are very few creative artists who are ever seen unless they're working through the National Endowment for the Humanities, National Endowments for the Arts, or they're in a university tenured position? You don't see or hear from them because they're not state-sponsored. We are becoming increasingly like a Soviet state. We understand that, Alex, and we're fighting against it. The question to you, Alex, is people are screaming, what the heck can I do about it? I've tried. Look what they gave us in the last election, a choice between Mr. Milquetoast and the communist, the naked Marxist. Then the naked Marxist, Obama, floods America with illegal aliens 3 months before the election by granting amnesty through the, quote, DREAM Act. Without congressional approval, there wasn't a peep out of the drunks called Republicans.
Well, Michael, that was my next point, is that isn't it time for impeachment? It was a long time ago. He says our military's under NATO control. He goes on to say that he can have cybersecurity shut down a free speech if Congress doesn't act. He says now he can legalize the illegal aliens by fiat. Well, you and I can't go to Mexico and have babies for free and everything paid for. They're taking American hospitality and using it to literally bankrupt this country. And isn't that their goal, is to bankrupt things, to collectivize it?
I'm not sure that they want to bankrupt the country. I think they just simply are into controlling it. And remember, Alex, my analogy is different than yours. There was a TV show called The Sopranos. You probably don't watch much TV.
No, I've seen it. Yeah, with the mobsters.
Okay, so it's when the mobsters from New Jersey, they run a private gambling den, right? They get a guy in who's a friend of theirs, by the way, who owns a huge sporting goods store. And they tell him, don't gamble. You're a sick, degenerate gambler. He gambles anyway. He loses all of his money. So the mafia gets their hands into his sporting goods store, right? Now, the next scene is they already move into the store. They get in the back room, and they're taking stuff out of the back door. They now own the guy. Not only they busting out the store by selling things in the back out of trucks. Now they're taking a line of credit, Alex, that the store has, and they're running up first-class airline tickets to the tune of millions of dollars. What does that sound like to you? It sounds like we've been taken over by the same gang that took over the sporting goods store, and they're busting us out by running up our credit, taking our credit line and running it up.
No, I totally agree with you. That's my analysis exactly.
It's like a gang took over America. How dumb do you have to be not to see it?
No, it's government anarchy, as you call it.
It is government anarchy, and that's a phrase I was using, but people don't understand what I say, Alex. Maybe some do. Have a big audience.
Hey, let me bring this up. Why do all of the major conservative libertarian hosts talk crap about each other or start fights? I don't do that. But when I'm listening to talk radio, they're constantly sniping at you and then acting like you're sniping at them when they're starting it. And then I've got, Mr. Beck behind the scenes always trying to make stuff up. Don't they get there's going to be no country in the future if we don't?
Alex, here's the answer. When you're the lead sled dog, the other dogs are barking at your ass.
I guess that's true, yeah.
I mean, did I use a word I'm not allowed to use?
No, you're right. I guess that's...
I mean, when you're the lead sled dog and they're tied behind you, pulling a load, they're mad at your behind.
Oh, man, Michael Savage is our guest. I've got a bunch of questions for you, and we're going to come back from break if we can keep you, because I've got to get into how you think we get America back, where you think the future is going, what's going on with the Republican Party. But again, I've never heard you come out and talk about a book being censored like this, and I've seen China do this publicly, saying they couldn't put out Red Dawn, and there should have been a congressional investigation when they didn't put out Red Dawn for 2 years to re-edit it. And the communists didn't even pay to have it re-edited. I mean, since when did our country let the communist Chinese that kill their political dissidents and sell their organs dictate books and films? I don't think it's a theory. There is a news blackout on your book.
You know, if you go to any major bookstore, Barnes & Noble, I went into a local one yesterday. The book is prominently displayed because the publisher buys that. You know how books work.
In cap, yeah.
Yeah, they're right up there. They're beautiful, but no one knows the book is there. They're not going into... I need a revolution of my listeners to go in and just buy the book. It's that simple. You say, well, you just want to get rich. I hope people believe me. It won't change my lifestyle one iota. I need people to ask a question. Who in the U.S. military put all those SEALs on a Chinook helicopter that got shot down in Afghanistan?
Stay there. Why did they kill the SEAls? I agree. Oh, yeah. We're coming. I think that was on my list of questions. You didn't even know it. Zero Dark Easter Bunny. We're going to talk about it all with Michael Savage, michaelsavage.com. Well, folks, I got to be honest with you. I'm a talk radio listener. And I really can't listen to any of the big national hosts. I've said this before. And you know I don't talk trash about other hosts other than people that attack me behind the scenes. Empty suits, as some people call them. But I like Michael Savage, even though I've disagreed with some of his views and some of the things he said tongue-in-cheek about put the liberals in forced labor camps. Now I get the point. He was saying they want to put us in forced labor camps. But I just really like Michael Savage.
Alex, listen to me. I'll say it again. You better put them in a camp before they put you in one. As George Orwell wrote in the 1930s when he saw what the communists were going to do, if a man comes to put a bomb in your mother's house, put a bomb in his mother's house first. They, if they could, would put you and I in a concentration camp.
No, they call for our arrest all the time. I mean, they call for ending free speech. They love it.
Yeah, and look at this. The same bastards who try to push through the fairness doctrine to put me out of business, they're the same sons of bitches who are right now doing everything against the American way. Everything imaginable, whether it's seizing guns, seizing speech, seizing property, or pandering to the enemy. It's the same SOBs all over again. That's why they want us silenced.
You know, it really is true, and I'm sure you've seen the Bill Ayers witnesses from the trial, the FBI informants. It was later confirmed in the trial of the Weatherman. They were talking about putting 50 million conservatives in forced labor camps and licking their lips talking about beating us and killing us and shooting us. And then they had a White House petition countering my Piers Morgan petition a few months ago saying, let's have federal militias to go confiscate the guns. They dream of some red terror Lenin takeover. I mean, these people really are nuts.
Well, on Sunday, their good friend Louis Farrakhan gave a speech to 10,000 Nation of Islam followers where he appealed to gangbangers. You should get that soundbite where he said to them, you guys know how to use guns. All the guns you own are illegal, meaning they can't be seized. And he said, we want to teach you the arts of war because although one of our own, he said, is running the country, he's not helping us. We have to help ourselves. What was he saying? What was he saying?
I saw the clip. In fact, we played the clip.
And by the way, is the Nation of Islam the secret private militia that Obama hinted at before he was elected in 2008?
There's the headline. Farrakhan recruits Chicago gangs for protection. Well, look at the new FEMA Corps now launching people. I want to get into the martial law Civil War scenario with Michael Savage of the Savage Nation, one of the top talk show hosts in the country, best-selling author, new book, A Time for War. Michael Savage joins us right now. But first, let's go back to the bin Laden raid, very questionable. One helicopter crashes. They dump the body in the ocean along with the Keebler Elves, and then they pack 23 SEALs on a helicopter. I actually talked to a SEAL who has a buddy, one of the few survivors of SEAL Team 6, who says that they believe the helicopter was blown up. Michael Savage, where were you going with that?
I think they were sacrificed by the Obama administration, at least someone in the administration, gave a little gift back to the enemies of America and said, okay, we took out Osama bin Laden. You can have all 23 Navy SEALs.
No, you're right. It was 30 total. There was some Army guys, too.
Yeah, there were Rangers, and then there was some Afghan Special Forces. I think it was 23 SEALs.
Yeah, 23 SEALs, and I think 34 total. But go ahead.
I was screaming on my show, who made the decision to put them in a Chinook helicopter? Alex, you know that the Chinook is a Vietnam-era helicopter.
They're a death trap. The SEALs said they're never put on those.
Okay. In fact, the bin Laden raid was conducted with 3 advanced attack helicopters.
Stealth.
Why were these guys put into one old flying helicopter that was allegedly shot down with an RPG? I allege it was shot down with a blast, an EMP blast, in the novel A Time for War. How can I prove it? I can't. I'm only a fiction writer, after all, Alex. I have no inside information. But the question is, why was this never investigated? This was the single greatest loss of Navy SEALs in American history. And Obama runs around, I'm a commander-in-chief, I killed Osama bin Laden, and that schmuck, whatever his name was, who we forgot already, Ramney. How many times did I say on my show, Ramney, get up during the debate and say to him, okay, sir, you should take credit for killing Osama bin Laden, but do you also want to take credit for killing 23 Navy SEALs? Who in your administration did that? He could have sank his presidency during the campaign, couldn't he have, Alex?
You're absolutely right. Now, getting into the domestic operations, you have 2 billion rounds of ammo now, not 1.6 billion. You have drones for domestic operations. The new DHS-funded drone, $400,000 a piece. They're now putting out training videos showing the drone targeting what it looks like redneck cracker gun owners, to use one of their pejorative terms. You've got all these domestic checkpoints popping up. You've got the DHS training manuals that we got saying veterans and gun owners are the new Homeland Security threat. You've got Obama turning al-Qaeda loose in Libya and Syria. I mean, this is a full flipping of Homeland Security onto the American people. Are they trying to set up a civil war, Michael Savage?
How do I know what they really want to do? It almost doesn't matter whether they're trying to do it because they're really moving people against each other, aren't they? I have never seen a more divisive presidency in my life. I've never seen a president who basically antagonizes, should I lay it on the line, the older white males on a daily basis. He literally relishes making older white males angry. He prays they will do something crazy to justify a reaction by this psychotic fascist in the government to make it very clear. Okay, I don't know how else to put it. He's trying to provoke a war in this country. Whether it will happen is only a matter of whether someone goes off or not.
But what is their end game? I mean,
It's obvious. It's obvious. Government control. Government control. We understand he's not a savior. We understand he's a demagogue. And he's not a right-wing demagogue. He's a national socialist demagogue. Everyone forgets that a certain Austrian who lived in Germany in the 1930s was a socialist. He hated capitalism. Do you know that, Alex?
He wanted centralized crony control and used selective socialism to transfer wealth, which you always see with the crony groups. What about Dorner? Yeah, the whole system was paralyzed for a week over one guy. How do they think they're going to start a civil war? By the way, he was a pro-gun guy who then... an anti-gun guy who was then out there using guns to reportedly shoot police.
That was a crazy case. And what the media did, the vermin in the media, and I'll say it until people hear me. Okay, I won't use a word that's so charged. The solenterates in the media, the worms in the media. The worms in the media, how's that? The worms in the media refused to report that mad, crazed cop, Dorner, who was killing people, his first two victims were a couple, a young woman who was of Chinese African-American descent and her fiance who was African-American. They wouldn't show their picture, Alex. We had to search for it and put it up on michaelsavage.com. Why did the media not show that Dorner's first victims were a black man and a Chinese black woman? Because then it wouldn't have fit their agenda.
They wanted to make it about racial division.
That's right. The rats, the solenterates, the worms in the media are trying to destroy us. They've destroyed this country. The very same worms that Obama's now saying, I don't need you anymore, are now crying that he doesn't need them anymore. But it's those worms, never forget, who destroyed this country.
So what is the end game then if he's even raising taxes on the payroll of the poorest people? I guess drive them into pure bankruptcy to get on welfare and make them totally dependent, wreck the country. But you're saying you don't think that's the total plan. Well, that's what they're doing.
No, that's not the plan. I think people think that mistakenly. Let's look at who doesn't pay taxes in America. Let's look at General Electric. I keep using that as a prime example for a couple of reasons. GE had reportedly an income of $5-some billion U.S. income. They paid zero taxes because of the rigged system. Who is the president of General Electric? Jeffrey Immelt. What else does General Electric own? NBC and MSNBC. Why else would they take a street slime, an uneducated dolt, a street slime, rabble-rousing, uneducated rat like Al Sharpton and give him $1 million a year or more to be on MSNBC? Because he keeps the mobs, the rent-a-mobs that he used for years, away from Jeffrey Immelt's General Electric headquarters. Isn't it cheaper to pay a rat like him $1 million a year?
That's right, and then Obama made the head of GE the head of the Economic Council, where they selectively can keep their coal power plants open. They get a waiver, but everybody else gets shut down. It's classic mafia tactics. So,
wait, Alex, listen, if GE paid their fair share, and Google paid their fair share, and all the other corporations who are tied into the Obama administration, and now let's go to another one, Alex, that no one talks about. Why are Indian gambling casinos tax-free? Why don't they pay their fair share?
No, if you're an insider and support the mafia, you're tax exempt, and then they say people making $200-something thousand a year are rich, dirty rats who aren't paying enough federal taxes at 40%. You add all the rest of it. It's like that golfer pays 65% and bitched about it, and California said, how dare you, you should pay more.
If GE and the other tax-evading corporations paid their fair share, if Indian gambling casinos paid their fair share, this budget would be balanced. But nobody will talk about the sacred cows, will they? Because they are the government. In other words, they're not separate from the government. They are the government. Who do you think put this guy in the White House?
So how do we stop them? How do we stop them?
I don't have an answer other than talking about it. Free speech has tremendous power. It's the proverbial pebble in the calm pond, Alex. If we keep throwing these pebbles into the pond and the rivulets go out to the edges, eventually people will wake up. Eventually they will act up. There is no other answer that I have, Alex.
I agree with you. If we roll over, we're in deep trouble. And the problem is the same insider financial interest that are crony monopolists who want tyranny and a organized command and control economy, they are funding both parties. And now you see the mainline Republican Party demonizing the more hardcore Tea Party that are our listeners, who are actually just Americans. What do you think about the establishment Republicans claiming that Obama is a mandate for socialism and that Republicans should have open borders, abortion, tyranny, everything else? What do you say to that attempted capitulation? I say it's a hoax.
Well, it's either you want socialism on a fast track with Obama or socialism on a local train with the Republicans. They're no different. I call them the Democrats for 20 years in radio, or the Republicrats. What's the difference? We have a one-party system. It's an oligarchy. We all understand that. So the Republican Party is irrelevant. It's become a totally irrelevant party. There are some great people in it. Ted Cruz, I happen to be a big fan of Ted Cruz. Will he come on the show? Absolutely not. Did Rubio ever want to come on my show? Absolutely not. So they're all establishment types. I understand that. But I don't hold it against them.
Well, here's an example of style then. Okay, let me just throw this at you. I was mad. I was angry. I was in a bad mood. He was playing factoid games. I blew up at Piers Morgan. It was huge news. He's scared to have me back. They claimed I defeated gun owners, but the truth is it scared them, and I met with Morgan later. I saw him in Houston, and he said, oh, we don't want you back on. We don't want to make you too prominent when my audience and your audience dwarfs his by a factor of 10, 15, 20 times. But the issue is I actually kicked their butt because I actually said, get out of your coma, wake up. They say it's discrediting to get angry and aggressive. The truth is that's one of the only hopes we've got. Do you agree with that?
1,000%. Get in their face. They're a bunch of cowards, every last one of them. They're terrified of real men. If you can, spit in their face and tell them I said so. You have no idea what contempt I have for these people. The media is destroying America. And guys like Piers Morgan are the epitome of everything wrong with the media. The fact is, Alex, you did a great job. I admire you for it, and you should keep doing it. I myself don't go on any shows. I haven't for years. I learned my lesson a long time ago. They're snakes. They're the lowest form of vipers.
Well, they'll tell you it's live and then do a tape show while they're taping you, while the show's already on, but they'll tape it in a segment and then edit it. They're incredibly deceptive. And expanding on that, I didn't bring that up to inject myself into the story for listeners. I brought it up to say I believe and I've seen being aggressive with the truth is the only dog we've got in the fight.
Look, you did a great job. Someone's got to fight back. If more in Congress did what you did, we'd be in better shape. Why don't you run for office since I have declared it's time for war, Why don't you go to war and run for Congress?
I'll put it back to you. Why don't you run for Congress, Michael?
I thought about it for many years, and I'll give you one answer. I don't have the personality for it. I can't mince words. I don't have the patience to sit politely with my hands folded and say, I don't want to do any fundraising. Moreover, I really don't want to pander for votes.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I got involved in some campaign stuff and the begging for money and the questionnaires and just all the weirdness and the sycophants that worship the political class. Totally sick. Now, you've talked a lot about this. The 2 billion bullets, I want to specifically get into that. The domestic drones, the Homeland Security training. I mean, that has captured the public's attention, that the military-industrial complex is being converted over as a system to control us. I think that's something they're really scared of, us covering that.
Well, it's obvious what they're doing. They're drying up the supply of ammunition. If they couldn't control the guns, what they're doing is controlling the ammo supply. That's very obvious. I had an expert on the Michael Savage show last week who called in from WMAL in Washington. He said he's a manufacturer of weapons and bullets, and he said that's exactly what they're doing. Not only, you don't know this, Alex, but not only did they buy all of the available ammo, they've put in advance orders to give them priority for any ammo that's manufactured in the future. What they've done is completely dry up the supply. They're very clever. Don't ever underestimate your enemy, Alex.
I agree.
They are very clever. They're very angry. They're very frightened, and that makes for a very dangerous enemy. So they can't get you on the Second Amendment, so they cleverly said, okay, so we can't take the guns away from the cracker. Let's take the bullets away from the cracker. That's what they're doing here, Alex, and that's exactly what needs to be exposed to the general public.
You said this about 3 years ago, and after you said it, there was a Financial Times of London article, official Democratic Party fundraiser letter to the millionaires that said, don't worry, even he's going to get reelected, and there's going to be big events that help Obama take over. There's going to be crises, and we're going to blame it on the right-wing radio. Now, you said that before they even came out and said it, and I've been saying that. What about the false flag Reichstag event, Michael Savage? I see that as basically all the cornered rats have left, stage stuff or let stuff happen and blame it on us.
Well, there are people who are saying that these recent shootings from Sandy Hook onward were staged by the government in some way. I can't accept that as a reality. I don't know how they could brainwash that idiot Lanza to go kill innocent school children.
Sirhan.
Go right down the list. Right to Dorner. Are they all government brainwashed lunatics? I mean, I don't know if you believe that. I personally don't. But it's interesting to me as an epidemiologist that they all seem to come within a short period of time, isn't it? I mean, they've all occurred in a very short period of time, just as the gun grabbers have raised their rhetoric about taking away our Second Amendment rights. So, yeah, I mean, it's easy to say it's fits, but is it true? I don't know.
Well, a lot of it is they just, I mean, look at the Batman shooter in Aurora, where he gets DARPA funding and is protected, and the psychiatrist is top Air Force assigned to him. I mean, even the police in L.A. said Sirhan wasn't the shooter of RFK, and you know about amnesic drugs, Dr. Savage.
I really don't know that side of it. You're so much more deeply involved in this whole side of things than I am, Alex. I don't think we need to even go there to understand that the enemy of our freedoms exists. It's real. It has names.
Regardless, they're using the crisis to take our liberties, like Rahm Emanuel said.
Well, that's right. But why would they let a crisis go to waste?
All right, Michael, I'm going to twist your arm. There's only a 5-minute segment left. I want to end the show with you with any other points that you think are important to hear. Riveting, important information. I can't believe it. Michael Savage on my syndicated radio broadcast, a powerful transmission. MichaelSavage.com. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Final segment. All right, it's the final segment with Michael Savage, the end of the syndicated radio broadcast today. Just incredible. Incredible. Ron Paul yesterday, Ted Nugent yesterday, so much more. And we've got all these other big guests coming up later in the week. I was on Howard Stern, of all people, this morning. Okay, going to Michael Savage here. I was saying to him during the break, what is the solution? Let's punch this up. DrudgeReport.com. Obama, you can't do things by yourself. And, of course, some will say he meant it like, oh, all we're doing is, saying I can't do things by myself, but he's actually implying give me more power and I can fix things, make me the dictator. That's what I think was coming out of that. And another backhanded socialist comment, you didn't build that. But going to Michael Savage, I was asking during the break, what is the solution? And he said it's in Ecclesiastes. Michael Savage, you have the floor.
Ecclesiastes said to us, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to love and a time to hate, Alex. And then Ecclesiastes writes, a time for war and a time for peace. I'll ask your listeners if the left has not declared war in America. If they are at war and they know who their enemy is, and believe me, they define their enemy every day, why is it that we don't know that we are at war? I said the same thing while the Islamists were targeting us. Every time these stooges in the CIA or the FBI or DOD would give a speech saying, Islam is not at war with America, I would want to break things in my house. I would say, they sure know who they're at war with. They've declared war on Christianity and Judaism. They declared war on women and freedom, and we don't know who's at war. They know who they're at war with, and unless we understand that they're at war with us, we're going to lose this war, Alex, as we are doing. We are losing the war for two reasons. One, because most Americans don't know that the radical left has won. They're in power, and they're in daily warfare against freedom. Number two, the media no longer exists. And number three, there is no effective Republican opposition. We have a single one-party system in this country. And so it's left to the people to say, the hell with you. You're at war with me. I'm going to get in your face like you did on the Piers Morgan show, Alex. Everyone has to get into everyone's face. Don't let them run you down with guilt or with shame. There are more of us than there are of them, and we can win if we just don't give in.
In the few minutes we've got left, is there any chance to get an impeachment movement going? You know, they said...
No, don't waste your time. It'll work for Obama, not against him. It'll be turned into a laughingstock by Rahm Emanuel and the media operatives.
Okay, well, then how do you stop him? I mean, what do you do?
He's going to make a bigger mistake than he's already made. I see, I'm a believer in God and fate. And I believe this man is so out of control with his ego. And I watch, one of the things I do for a living is I watch behavior. If you watch Obama walk, if you watch him speak...
Total arrogance.
You see the man bopping down Air Force One. You see him inviting the slime from Hollywood sewer pipe into the White House. You see him using his wife in a way that the First Lady has never been used before. These people are out of control, Alex. They're going to make an error. I believe that God's hand is behind it all. I just think God's taking his time about it. This man will make an error through arrogance that will bring the entire house of cards down. That is my belief.
I agree that power never works the way they want, like Hitler turning east into Russia. I just, as I get more power, I get more humble. I don't understand this thing of as you get more power, you get more crazy and more arrogant.
That's because you don't use drugs. They do. They're all medicated. There should be drug testing in Congress. There should be drug testing in Congress, Alex. My final word.
And again, you've got a degree in epidemiology, nutrition sciences, PhDs. I mean, you name it. You can recognize it. And I look at Pelosi. She looks like she's hopped up. I mean, if I pulled her over, if I was a cop, she looks like a total, like she's on something.
She's on power. But if you look at Congress and make them pee in a cup, I guarantee you 60% of them would be fired.
Amazing. The book, A Time for War. Get it out to everybody. They don't want you to read it.